Hi, I'm Curious Vedanth, and welcome to season 3 of my podcast. Today, my guest is my paternal grandfather, Geethaprabhu, who retired as a senior audit officer from the office of the Principal Director of Commercial Audit, Government of India. Now, post retirement, he has revived his hobby of reading and writing poetry in Kannada. Hi Geetu Tata, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Vedant. I am very much excited and I am honored that you have invited me as a guest to your podcast. Now you can
Yes,
start asking me questions.
this is going to be very fun. So, Geetu Tata, I'm curious to know what is an audit?
Okay. Audit is a very ancient art. Audit was, in earlier days, it was a very simple thing. The origin of audit is a Latin word which means to hear. In earlier days, the accountant, that is a person who was responsible to maintain the accounts, used to submit his accounts orally and the auditor used to listen. Auditor is a person who checks the accounts and in the initial stages he was only listening. That is why he is known as auditor. But now it has changed. There are so many types of audit and in India, supreme authority for audit is Controller and Auditor General of India and he doesn't come under any of the ministries and he is a constitutional authority and Controller and Auditor General of India is appointed by the President of India on the recommendation of the Prime Minister of India and he enjoys the status of a Supreme Court judge.
That is very interesting. From my research, I have learned that an auditor is like an inspector. How do you find out if something is wrong?
See, auditor is a watchdog. There is a famous judgment which says auditor is only a watchdog, he is not a bloodhound. That means auditor's responsibility is not to search for frauds, not to search for mistakes, etc. And he has to take the accountant into confidence and he should rely on the information given to him by the organization and based on the information he has received, he has to exercise reasonable check. And if he finds something fishy, something suspicious, then he should caution the person who has appointed him for this purpose. That is the role of the audit.
What happens after the auditor finds out that something is wrong?
See, auditor is appointed by so many people for so many purposes. It all depends upon for what purpose the auditor is appointed. Say, for example, an individual appoints an auditor and the auditor is responsible for that individual. Suppose a company appoints an auditor, the auditor is responsible for the shareholders. And auditor has got certain standards that is called auditing standards and he has to work according to those standards. Suppose the government funds are involved, then the Controller and Auditor General of India he is responsible for auditing this. And if it is a central government funds, the report will go to the parliament. And if it is a state government, the report will go to state legislature. And that report is discussed either in the parliament or state legislature, depending upon the which agency. In respect of companies, in respect of companies, the report is given to the shareholders. With that, the auditor's responsibility is over, and he is not an investigator and he is not an authority to go beyond the scope of his audit, and his work is very clear, and according to that, he has to function, and he has got certain codes and ethics as per the auditing standard.
All these days when you were auditing, what was the biggest mistake you have found?
When the auditor goes to an institution for audit, he requisitions for certain records. And based on that records, he asks certain questions to the management or the person who is responsible for maintaining the accounts. Based on that, he comes to the conclusion. And then he issues an inquiry that is called audit inquiry and gets the reply. If he is satisfied, he closes the inquiry. If he is not satisfied, he makes a report and he submits it to the top management. After getting the reply, then he will either drop it or he will include it in his audit report.
Were you always satisfied, or were there times when you were not satisfied?
See, generally, auditor approaches the company with a clear mind, without any bias, that everything is fine. But if he finds something suspicious, then it is his duty to point it out to the person who has appointed him for this purpose. If everything is okay, auditor will issue a nil report. Nil report means everything is clear and I have no comments to make. If something fishy, it is his duty to bring it to the notice of the person who has appointed him for this purpose. That's all. And for example, in Government of India, the Supreme Audit Institution of CAG, they have found out this Bofors scam, and they have found out this fodder scam, etc., which has a very great impact on the political scenario of the country. Like that, CAG's audit report is very powerful and it is given to the parliament or to the state legislature. Not necessary that every time that report should go to parliament. If auditor is satisfied, he can issue nil report also.
Can you tell me the names of a few companies that you audited?
See, Vedant, I belong to an organization called Commercial Audit, and this is auditing the central public sector undertakings. And as you know, most of the central public sector undertakings are situated in Bangalore. See, for example, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HIL, Hindustan Machine Tools Limited, HMT, Bharat Electronics Limited, BEL, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, BHEL. Like that, so many central government companies are there, and I was very far. Indian Telephone Industries ITI. So many companies are there. I was fortunate to have an opportunity to audit these companies and to have a first-hand information after visiting these factories. That is what I am blessed that way, that I was able to get fairly good knowledge of all these companies.
That is very interesting, and I also would like to have an auditing job there. What made you choose to be an auditor?
I had no choice, Vedant. See, when I was a student, opportunities were not there this much. We had only two streams. One is arts, another is science. That is Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science. And even Bachelor of Commerce was not there. And for a middle class family, studying medicine and engineering, it was out of question because financial stability was very much required for these courses. Hence, I had no option. I opted for BSc, that is Bachelor of Science degree, and I got employment into this department, audit department, and I joined it. That's all. There is no specific reason that I entered this field as an audit.
What did you want to be as a child?
That's a very interesting question, Vedant. As a child, I wanted to be either a lecturer or a judge because, as you know, my father, Gopal Tata, was working in a court, and I used to go with him and see judges getting lot of respect and advocates and our clients, everybody saluting him and standing in the court. Then I was very much attracted for that job. I wanted to be a judge. At the same time, I was very much interested in literature and I wanted to be a lecturer in some language, not necessarily Kannada, any language I wanted to be this one. But unfortunately, what happened, in my degree, I did not get sufficient marks to get a seat in law those days. Hence, I could not continue my law education and I continued in this audit department. That's all.
I have seen that for every occasion and every person, you come up with a unique poem. How do you do that? Can you tell me more about this amazing hobby you have?
Yes. See, my poems are just for fun. It is not of any serious nature or giving any message to anybody. That is, I mainly depend on rhymes. See, rhyming words, that's all. For example, dose, aase, mise. These are all rhyming in Kannada. Dose, aase, mise. ತಿನ್ನಲು ನನಗೆ ದೋಸೆ ಬಹಳ ಆಸೆ ಆದರೆ ಅಡ್ಡ ಬರುತ್ತಿದೆ ನನ್ನ ಉದ್ದನೆಯ ಮೀಸೆ. That's all. That is nothing special, Vedant. Just rhyming, that's all.
Oh, that's very funny. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food, is Kali Dose of Dwarka Hotel. Okay. I used to go there and eat minimum 2 plates of Kali Dosa in Dwarka Hotel.
Can you tell me your favorite Manku Timana Kagga and explain the meaning of it?
Ah, okay, Vedant. You are asking me my favorite Mankutimana Kagga. Huh? You want me to tell one Kagga?
Yes.
Okay. This Kagga is the lesson for life. I will tell that Kagga and tell meaning, plain meaning of it. ಹುಲ್ಲಾಗು ಬಿಟ್ಟದಡಿ ಮನೆಗೆ ಮಲ್ಲಿಗೆಯಾಗು ಕಲ್ಲಾಗು ಕಷ್ಟಗಳ ಮಳೆಯ ವಿಧಿ ಸುರಿಯೆ ಬೆಲ್ಲ ಸಕ್ಕರೆಯಾಗು ದೀನ ದುರ್ಬಲರಿಂಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೋಡು ಒಂದಾಗು ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. That is ಹುಲ್ಲಾಗು ಬೆಟ್ಟದಡಿ. When a person climbs the mountain, you be a grass so that let him sit on the grass and relax and start his journey further. ಹುಲ್ಲಾಗು ಬೆಟ್ಟದಡಿ ಮನೆಗೆ ಮಲ್ಲಿಗೆಯಾಗು. And you be pleasant in the house, just like a jasmine flower. Always it is giving fragrance and creates a pleasant atmosphere. In the house, you should be a pleasant. You should create pleasant atmosphere. ಕಲ್ಲಾಗು ಕಷ್ಟಗಳ ಮಳೆಯ ವಿಧಿ ಸೂರ್ಯ. When you get difficulties are bound to come in your life. Then you should face the difficulty boldly without getting perturbed like a stone. ಕಲ್ಲಾಗು ಕಷ್ಟಗಳ ಮಳೆ ವಿಧಿ ಸುರಿಯ ಬೆಲ್ಲ ಸಕ್ಕರೆಯಾಗು ದೀನ ದುರ್ಬಲನಿಗೆ. For the weaker people, weaker section, you do whatever help you can. That is serve the humanity. ಎಲ್ಲರೋಡು ಒಂದಾಗು ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. Don't differentiate people. You be one with everybody. That is the meaning of that great saint poet D.V. Gundappa. Okay, I am his fan and I have been reading D.V. Gundappa since 1965. This Mankutimana Kagga I have been reading since 1965 and I had written an article on this in the year 1965 also when I was a child.
Wow. This is very good knowledge and advice, and I will follow it. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Okay, Vedant, I should thank you because I am excited and I am honored that you invited me for your show. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Dear listeners, follow my Facebook page, Curious Vedanth, to get updates on my upcoming episodes. To listen at leisure on your phone and get notified about future episodes, Subscribe by searching for Curious Vedant wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can also listen to my show on curiousvedant.com. Thank you for listening to Curious Vedant, and don't forget to rate and leave